you're the one who really planted the seed in me of the importance of having separate spaces. Share with us more about that.
My princess always used to do was, let's just move in straight away. And I thought if they didn't want to move in, that means
I do feel like we're in a relationship renaissance right now. And the only way we will find our own truth is to...
The love obviously is the baseline, but do we actually value the same things?
I feel when you genuinely fall in love, there is a natural alignment in values because you wouldn't fall in love without that.
You're such a lover girl.
And also I do agree love is not enough. And sometimes you have to end relationships because
going into this cohabiting husband-wifey mode when we're not even engaged yet and they feel that they've got you. I've got basically a wife without actually having to do anything. The soul is evolving very fast these days. It's not the same as like back in our grandparents. That also is affecting like how...
Just flow, surrender, let go. Yeah. Just flow, surrender, let go. I'm the one I've been waiting for. Just flow, surrender, let go. Just flow, surrender, let go. Just flow, surrender, let go. I'm the one I've been waiting for. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Highest Self podcast. My name is Sahara Rose, and on this podcast, I love to take spirituality, matters of the heart, and make it modern, fun, grounded, and relatable so it can actually serve your needs. So you could notice I'm somewhere a little different right now. I'm in Bali. I'm living here for the indefinite future. And it's super cool because the friend who I interviewed today on the podcast, she was on last week as well, as is also here with me. So it's this full coming to circle because I met this queen 11 years ago when I was living in Bali. And we've gone on really deep journeys, especially with the path of the feminine and tantra and really connecting back to the wisdom of the womb and love as medicine. So last week, she was on the podcast talking about moving from princess energy to priestess energy. And our conversation went so long that I actually split it up into 2 episodes. So the second half of the conversation, which you're going to be hearing from today, is like 2 sisters just talking. Like, is love enough? Should you live with someone before marriage? What dating is like, our expectations of relationships, what to settle on and what not to. These really real conversations that I am personally having with my girlfriends, you are hearing on air right now. And I feel that sometimes these conversations are really needed because a lot of what we hear of on podcasts are like perfectly curated conversations from spiritual thought leaders who have, really spoken that message again and again and again. And while that is extremely of value, sometimes we need to just go off the cuff and be like, look, I don't know. It's a trial and error. And I will say even some of my beliefs and opinions have even shifted since the time of recording this conversation. So that's the beauty of it. It's further evolving. We all have the opportunity to change our minds at any time and have new experiences, especially when it comes to love, because every single person that we interact with is going to bring about another point of awareness that we can now refer off of. So you may think, I really am looking for this thing in love, and you might meet someone with those qualities, but it's missing this other thing that you didn't even find valuable before. Until this situation, it showed you, oh, maybe I've been overlooking that I really want someone who's an empath, or I'm really overlooking that they need to be in a similar point of their career, or whatever the thing is for you. So this is a conversation that really explores these nuances. You're going to feel like our third friend hanging out with us. And without further ado, let's drop into the conversation.
And before we drop into this episode, be sure to hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. That is the best way to stay up to date on the latest episodes. We've got this in video format, so if you're just hearing my voice, be sure to also watch our fabulous outfits on video as well on Spotify, YouTube, or the Apple Store. This is the best way to stay in the flow with future conversations and also allows the podcast to reach more people. So hit subscribe so I can keep vibing with you on all future episodes. Now let's get into this one. So would you not live with someone until you are already married to them?
Not until we're already married, but like definitely like I feel it's not necessary until it's necessary, like essentially children.
So even if you're married, you would. Sorry, you can send an owl.
I would have like my own like quarters, like.
Yeah, so you're the one who really like planted the seed in me of the importance of having separate spaces and her temple and his man cave. Share with us more about that.
Yeah, I just feel this is so essential, if you do choose to live together, like just having that mindset around not just falling into becoming the wifey, and, wanting to, it's almost like the princess is like trying to prove like how good of a wife you are. So then he's like, oh, she's wifey. I'm gonna make her. But it actually doesn't. He's just like, wow, I get a wife. Don't even have to commit, don't even have to buy a ring. So maintaining that kind of still like dating energy, or like just the polarity energy, and that it's really good for polarity. But like, for example, having separate bedrooms, not that you have to sleep in separate bedrooms every night, but, me and my ex-partner, we had that. And, we would sleep together in the same bed 5 out of 7 nights. So, but we had our own spaces still, and that was really good, like to keep that polarity and just your own spaciousness and sovereignty, but then the choice to come together and not kind of go into just because, as soon as we live together, it's like, it's just natural. We just default into domestication and just kind of like stop trying. Cause it's like, well, there's this woman, Margarita, she talks about like the moose, like the woman basically just showing up on the doorstep and as like a hunting, he doesn't have to go out and hunt her. She's just there on the doorstep already. So it's like, if you're already living with him really quickly, straight away, like he hasn't really had to try. And men value things that they have to work for. Like actually humans value things they have to work for. This is just a human thing.
So a lot of people would say, well, how do you know if you can live well together? If you've never lived well together, once you're married, it's like you've already committed for life.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I wouldn't I wouldn't just move in like just when we have kids. Like it would be, I guess, like going away on trips together, you can see, and maybe even spending like extended periods, like maybe a whole week together before like fully like jumping in, just to see if you are compatible in like, I don't know, cohabiting,
Mm-hmm.
But just, it's more about what I'm saying is like that princess part of us that just wants to move in and thinks like that's what, is him claiming you if you're just like moving in together after 6 months, or, even things like sharing about you on social media, like thinking that's claiming, like this is all princess behavior. It's like, that's not claiming you. Claiming you is like when the ring's on the finger, or like he's made big commitments, not posting about you or whatever on Instagram or social media.
Have you ever wondered how certain people are able to create these incredible spiritually aligned careers where they are sharing their full expression, making tremendous impact to the world, creating massive levels of abundance, have teams that support them, and getting to be authentically themselves? Well, I've created the Dharma Summit to interview 5 incredible spiritual teachers and thought leaders to really break down their journey towards their soul purpose and reverse engineer it with my Dharma discovery method. So you can see the patterns in all of their journeys and get to know where you are in your own. Because what I have discovered is it might seem random, and like the obstacles that we're facing right now are things that no one else has experienced before. And while they are unique to your journey, there is a greater intelligence to the journey of our soul's purpose, which is what I really break down in the Dharma Summit. So you're going to get to know 5 different people's journeys. I'm talking world-renowned spiritual teachers, astrologers, healers, entrepreneurs, and my own, and be able to see step by step how they were able to overcome certain shifts, the timelines of their stories, and then see within your own journey where you are and what happens next. So this is an absolutely free summit called the Dharma Summit that is open and available for registration right now. So just head over to the show notes. You'll find the link right there to get started. I am so excited to share this wisdom and magic with you.
Let's be honest, don't we all deserve a little romance? Even if it's just in our headphones, I mean, it definitely makes grocery shopping or picking things up on the go a little sexier. So Dipsea is an audio app made for romance lovers with short, spicy stories that immerse you in the fantasies that you've been craving. I mean, maybe it's like a Balinese shaman healer lover, or a sexy Pride and Prejudice British situation, or maybe a captain of a pirate ship. I mean, what's your fantasy? They got it there for you. So right now, listeners of the show get an extended 30-day free trial. Just go to dipseastories.com/Sahara. That's DIPSEA stories.com/Sahara for 30 days of full access for free. You can find that link in the show notes.
So trust your intuition, trust your inner wisdom, trust your inner guidance, close your eyes and listen.
going on a trip with someone is a great way to start, and you can learn so much about them. And then also when you're like seriously in a relationship with someone, you're probably going to either go to their house a lot, they're going to come to your house a lot. So you're kind of like, you know, their stuff's at your place, you're sharing a bathroom. That I actually find it easier when you're living together, because now it's like they don't have this like bag and are staying in your place and feeling a little uncomfortable. But finally, when you're living together, it's like now they have their, like, I remember with my ex, it was like he never really felt comfortable coming to my place, and we didn't live together until we were married, you know, and it actually made the dynamic so much easier once we started living together, because it was like he had his own closet, he had his own stuff. So luckily we were able to even do him staying in my tiny 1-bedroom apartment. But at the same time, yeah, maybe if we lived together officially, like maybe it would have taken longer to get engaged. I'm kind of in this place that it's like, why are we even like so focused on the goal of getting married? You know, I feel like as women, we're like, we want to lock it in. We want him to claim us. And it took me getting married and then having a divorce to be like, it actually doesn't really mean anything. And I'm like, even when I was married, I'm like, let's call each other fiance. You know, it's like you kind of like want to go back to that time where it's like it's like lighter, you know, a lighter energy than like husband and wife. And it was interesting because I had this realization of like, when I was the girlfriend, all I wanted to do was be the fiance. When I was the fiance, all I wanted to do was the wife. Once I was the wife, I'm like, can we pretend I'm your girlfriend, you know?
Yeah.
And it's interesting. And it's like, going through all of those stages to be like, I feel like it's even that princess that's like, he needs to put a ring on it, lock it in, as if that's going to like make him love you forever. And there's like never any endpoint. It's like, hello, like, why do we have collectively so many marital issues? It's like actually sometimes, and not always, and this is not a sacred marriage, but often what happens is like, once you're married, it's like both parties stop putting in the same effort because they're just like, okay, they're here. It's like, now time to put my focus and energy on this other thing that I don't have. So I'm on a different side of you on this living together thing that I do feel it's like, I told you the healthiest relationship that I know is my bestie, Rosie. She's been with her partner, Tori, for 22 years, and they're not married, you know, and they quickly moved in together. You know, I think she said they had sex, like, I don't know, the second date very early. And she didn't know it was going to be her forever partner, but there was just attraction but like continual interest. And when she was like 7 years into the relationship, people were like, why hasn't he put a ring on it? Like, you need to leave him. Like, he doesn't value you. You need to be with someone who's actually going to marry you. And she was like on the brink of like, yeah, I do want to get married. Should I leave this relationship? And she was not sure. But then she realized like the loyalty and stability and safety that he gives her it's unlike anything else. And so she decided to ride it out. And there were other things, like he's not like super spiritual. He's not like super like intellectual. She's very like academic, and they're different, you know, but he's so grounded. He's so supportive, and he adores her bits and pieces. And now they have outlasted any of those marriages, any of those people telling her to break up with them. And it's like, and now it's funny because he like is more the one who's like, when's the wedding going to be? And she's like, let's like put that towards buying a house, you know, and they like buy properties. And I share this because I honestly feel like there's something to the fact that they're not legally married is like, they're still like dating each other. They're still choosing each other. There's not this like heaviness that I feel like when you bring in the energy of the government through a marriage, it's bringing in that energy of this constitution of marriage that has become a commodification. It has become like a wife was like property of a man, you know? And I still love like, again, I don't know if I will get legally married or not again, but I love the idea of like sacred union, lifelong partnership. But I just feel like it's not so much about the end goal, but rather it's about like every single moment of, am I enjoying spending time with them? And people just have like, if your parents were divorced, like people just have different understandings of marriage. And so maybe him not wanting to get married doesn't mean he doesn't love you. Yeah. You know, it might just mean he doesn't agree with this government notion that you need a piece of paper to show one another your love.
Yeah. And I think that is, you know, we were talking about this earlier, like that's one of the aspects is, you know, as the princess, we want to like have a controlled timeline and an outcome, you know? And so that's what I say, you know, if it's really like, how is he showing up every day? Like, is he, you know, someone can post about you all they want online and think that's claiming them. But it's like, no, like, I want to see how they're showing up for me every day when no one's watching, not the highlight reels, not on the, these sort of things. And yeah, like just because you have marriage and a ring on the finger doesn't mean that like that's actual commitment. So what I'm saying is like, yeah, just really being honest with yourself. Like what is actually real? How is he actually showing up and going by that? And that's what I feel. If you desire like certain things, like babies specifically, this is something pretty important you need to get clear on. So if you desire that, like it depends on what you desire as the woman, because you are actually creating a lot of the relationship and leading in that way. And so whatever you desire, if those things don't matter for you, then just they don't matter. But if they do, you've got to ask yourself if you're settling and like just overriding your internal deepest heart's desires. And there's nothing wrong if you want this big wedding. If that's what you truly desire and it feels like it's coming from an integrated place, like, if someone's never been married before and they really just would love that, it means a lot to them. It's just so important as women, like, what do you actually want? And like, be very clear and noticing if there is, like control around it or like a agenda. And it's almost like claiming what you desire, but then really releasing the attachment of how it comes and how long it's going to come, but also not overriding certain internal like boundaries. Because, for example, with children, you're not going to wait, like if you're 40, you're not going to wait for someone who is only available for that in like 10 years if he's like a younger guy or whatever. So yeah, it's really just about being honest with yourself. Like, what do I actually want? And you get to create that and really like call that in, and you get to deserve what you desire. And we all have different things that we want in a relationship.
Yeah. I feel the baby thing is the most like, and of course, women are getting pregnant naturally at 40, 45, even 50.
Yeah.
Even beyond, I've heard.
For sure.
So it is expanding. However, it's just, it's rarer. So I do feel that, like, I've seen situations, it's heartbreaking that the woman is like waiting on this guy to be sure. And then she passes the fertility window and she deeply wanted to be a mother and lost that opportunity because she was waiting for this guy. And, and then maybe it wasn't meant to be. We don't know. But I feel like that is the thing. If I'm meant to be a mother. And I also feel if you're meant to be a mother, it's like, it's important to want to be a mother so much that it's like, I would also even be okay with co-parenting with this person.
Yeah.
And I feel a lot of women, they don't want to go there because they don't want to like call that in. And we're not saying to call that in at all, but it's like, we just don't know, relationships are so uncertain. So it's like, I heard this advice that was like, only marry someone that you would be okay, comfortable getting a divorce from. Because in a divorce is when you really get to know someone's true colors.
Yeah.
It's really when their fears and their protection and like all of the shadows come out. So it's like, is this someone that, God forbid, but if we were to get a divorce, we would work together. We would communicate. We could be able to do it in the most conscious and loving way possible. Or is it someone that I feel like in a divorce would try to destroy me? Because it's like,
how do you know that though?
I think you can kind of tell, certain people, like if a man or a woman is like very like aggressive, very like cuts people off if it's not their way, they're not able to work through challenging situations, because in every relationship that is going to happen. I think the biggest thing that it happens from is actually kids. Yeah. All my friends, once kids come into the equation, it's like a whole new set of challenges in a relationship, because naturally you're going to see parenting in a different way than they are, because you've been parented different ways and often opposite ways. And that's what attracted you, So it's like a real initiation when it comes to having children. And it's like the thing that you care about the most, your kids, someone else wants to do it another way that you might feel like is wrong.
Yeah.
Can you still love each other through that?
Yeah. And bring like the differences and come into some loving compromise. Like I was making a meal with the man I was seeing, and he's very stubborn in his ways, and I'm pretty stubborn in my ways. He was cooking it in a certain oil, like the fish, and I was doing the salad, and he was trying to like tell me what to do, and I was like, wait, like let's just stop. Let you do your thing, do it your way. Like I'm not going to mention anything of what you're doing. Don't look at what I'm doing, and then we bring it together on the plate. So it's like I've done it my way. this portion of the relationship, you bring your, however you're going to cook it, and it makes a whole plate, you know? And I saw that as like a metaphor. It's like, we can actually just bring these differences often. I mean, if it's major core values, that's something different. But yeah, where can we kind of learn from our different viewpoints and like meet in the middle? And I think, isn't that the whole point of love? It's like, we can be different, we can have disagreements, but how can we keep coming back to love and like lovingly agree to disagree, and just, it doesn't mean anything if someone has a different opinion to us or like viewpoint. It's not, it doesn't mean that we have to like eject from love.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a chance to come back to love. It's like, we can actually learn from these differences.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. So who's in your support squad and how have they changed your life? Because let's be real, we all need a squad, from healers, therapists, shamans, friends, community, family, to support us in all of the different facets of our lives. So lots of us don't have this, let's be real. And this is where therapy comes in. So to have someone to sit with you so you can share those deep thoughts in your mind, those deep fears that you might not tell anyone, and have this safe space where you don't feel judged and it doesn't mean anything in the friendship or relationship, and you can really listen to your own inner voice. That is priceless right there. And this is why I highly recommend giving BetterHelp a try. It's completely online, making therapy affordable, convenient. You can choose from over 30,000 credentialed therapists by taking a little quiz and switch at any time for no extra cost. So build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Sahar to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Sahar, and you can find that link in the show notes.
So trust your intuition, trust your inner wisdom, trust your inner guidance. Close your eyes and listen.
Absolutely. And I feel that, like, in true love, it's not even a choice. You know, you don't choose the person you love.
Yeah.
You can have all these things. I'm looking for this, that, and you just love this person. You're like, I don't even know why. I literally have no idea why I love you so much, but I just do. And it's like, and there's a spiritual assignment there. You know, it's like the way that they cooked the fish, even though it's not how you like it, the way that they lead their lives, even though it's not, and you're like, no, you need to wake up early and do the breath work and this, but it's like, Cupid has struck you both by an arrow, and there's something so freaking divine about that. And I just feel like love is such a gift, you know, and we have been handed this gift of love. It's this rare, precious gem that I feel we're like, no, I need it to be like this, or I'm going to copy paste that person, but I want them to be taller, like whatever. And it's like, God is going to be like, oh, you don't want this gift I handed you? Okay, I'll take it back. You know, and then years may go by and you're like, damn, like that gift, I should have held on to it. Now it's gone. And I feel like there's a wisdom to who falls in love. And it's often very unexpected people, you know, but there is a wisdom, and it's often like, you are really meant to be each other's teachers. You know, you are here to be each other's triggers. You are here to be each other's oracles. You are here to bridge together your unique backgrounds and skill sets and co-create something so much bigger that you could have never done on your own.
Yeah. And
And I feel a lot of us, we miss that chance of love because we are so in our control mindset. And that we think that, like, no, I'm going to find this person, as if it's like, you know, an AI that I can just like code and design and they show up at my door. It's not. And it's like, and I feel as in the princess consciousness, it's like, that man didn't do that, so I'm going to find a man that does all this plus that. And it's like, men and women are unique snowflakes. And you will never find a man or woman who provides that exact same thing that they did. I'm not saying hold on to the relationship forever, but I'm saying don't think you're going to get exactly that plus this. There's going to be things that this person has that you will never find again. And I think we need to be honest with that. There are things in that relationship that is just unique to that person and the chemistry between the two of you. And then it's hard to sometimes let go. And then there are things with other people that it will be like completely different. And some things will be like so much better in some ways. And some things you're going to look back to some other relationships too. And just like we know how unique and one of a kind we are, so are the men. And I feel when we show up in that way, we are so much more compassionate in relationships. We're not looking for this perfect guy to come save us, but we're like, you know, what the medicine really showed me is the men are struggling even more than the women are right now. You know, it's like the feminine, we have risen and we're helping each other. And, internet is highly feminine. Spirituality is highly feminine. We're coaching, we're healing, we're, gathering in goddess circles. And it's like the masculine is like, they will rise, but they're struggling right now. And there's a lot of guilt and there's a lot of like, oh shit, I just have harmed all these people and I'm wrong,
Yeah.
And that like coming face to face with a lot of their fears around like, I'm not financially where I want to be. I'm afraid of committing because I keep changing and all of the things around that. And I share all of this because it's like coming back to what we said of like, I believe if there is true, genuine love, if there is true interest of both parties to make it work, like fuck the rest. Lean in and see what's there.
Yeah. I mean, there's things around this, like with love is like, because I've had this but it comes down to other things as well. Like the love obviously is the baseline, but like things like compatibility, like your actual compatibility, your values, like these things are what I look for. Obviously the love and attraction is the first entry point. Then it's like, are we actually compatible? Like, do we actually value the same things? Or similar things, like core values. Like if they're misaligned, I don't think like it can really work. If it's like differences are good, but like core values, and the compatibility thing is just an energetic, like you're the missing piece of puzzle for each other and you just complement each other. And that's just, it can't be like forced. It's just what it is. So yeah, just from going so deep with so many, like just following love, like it's beautiful, but like it wasn't enough to sustain because these other aspects weren't there. And I realized that. And yeah, it's very
an interesting
complex.
nuance. Cause then I wonder, like, is there any, like, even this question of values? And I'm really being honest with you. I'm like, I wonder, like, what does that even really mean? Like, I think on a core level, all of our values are the same: love, peace, truth, this and that. I don't know. I'm such a lover girl that I honestly feel that if there's genuine love there, it's like, okay, maybe your core value, I say I'm love, truth, beauty, joy. You say your joy, freedom, family, this. I'm like, no, I did not have freedom and family on mine. This shit's over. It's like, I feel like a lot of these things are like, we say it, but it's like, are you really going to like end a relationship because the words they chose for their values? Like, I feel when you genuinely fall in love, there is a natural alignment in values because you wouldn't fall in love without that.
You're such a lover girl. Yeah, I mean, like I feel the same, like when it comes to it.
And also I do agree, love is not enough. And sometimes you have to end relationships because there are things out of integrity and out of alignment, but even the compatibility thing too, like that's something, I really ask the medicine, I'm like, how do we have a forever love? Is that even possible these days?
I mean, yeah, like this is the thing I always, I think that is also part of like the princess. It's like the forever ever after, and of course, like we all want to be with that person forever. Like most people want, like I would say all people want that. Like they don't want to have to keep changing, going through the heartbreak and all the things. But like, I don't know, as I've maybe just gotten older and maybe a bit more like jaded, I'm not sure, but I just realized like, also, no, I think it's actually more from like the oracle. It's like seeing it from the soul perspective, like that higher perspective. It's like realistically from that realm, some relationships are meant to be, it's like a reason, a season, or a lifetime. So some are meant to be only like the 7-year cycle, the 14-year cycle, whatever, or even like a 2-year cycle. And if we're truly committed to love, like we have to listen to that, because I know couples who, like they went in and no one thought they would ever break up. It was like they were perfect for each other together, like, 15 years. And then what? Like broken up. And I just feel that's the longevity and like that's not a sign of success of a relationship. I don't think. It's really like if you're committed to love, and that might be like going separate ways and going on those own solo journeys, and maybe you come back, maybe you don't, but like a lot of people just stay in things and they're not actually happy. And I think that's really, we need to just realize that the soul is evolving very fast these days. It's not the same as like back in our grandparents, it's we're on a different speed timeline of evolution. So I think that also is affecting like how long we stay with people, you know?
And I think it comes down to like, what do we prioritize? Do we prioritize a forever relationship over how I feel in this moment? You know, or do I prioritize, I want to feel genuinely in love at all times. And if I don't, I would rather end the relationship and go into the unknown and the singledom and the heartbreak for the potential to find an even deeper love. And again, there's no right or wrong answer, and they're choices. And sometimes relationships end of things out of your control. And even if you wanted to hold on, it's like spirit is like, nope, this has to end.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, is this it? Like, is there someone better out there for me? And it's that. But I remember when I sat with the Wachum and I asked, like, is there a forever relationship? It showed me my grandparents' relationship. And they were together for like 61 years until he passed, and so in love and romantic and beautiful. And I was like, I want to love like that. And they're like, but they've dealt with things as a couple that your generation would not be willing to deal with. You know, moving to another country, not having money, not speaking the language, going through a war, going through their kids needing to cross the border, like all of the fears. And they thought one of their sons, he was in prison for over a year. They thought they would never see him again. And it was like so many things that would have broken a relationship apart. But it was just in their mind, that was not even an option.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, that's just how marriage was. You marry someone and it's for life, you know? And our generation, whether this is good or bad, I don't know. I just feel we're more committed to our individual growth than we are to make a relationship work. The beauty in that is we're not staying in a necessarily toxic or draining relationship because we've just made this agreement of being married forever. You know, we're much more likely to have the confidence to get a divorce, to say, and it doesn't, you know, obviously things like infidelity. Like my mom always taught me, it was like, growing up Persian, it's like divorce is not an option unless it's the 3 A's: abuse, adultery, or addiction. You know, because those are the things that's like, you can't really change back from there. But there was no concept of like, we've just like fallen out of love. It's like, no, it's like, you fall back in love, make it work, you know? Not saying that that's better or worse, but that's how people in Indian culture, Middle Eastern culture, these cultures mostly have lifelong relationships. Doesn't mean the quality of the relationship is any better. It's just a commitment and a choice. But then I see the shadow side of, I feel like in Western culture, we're so obsessed with it needs to feel good all the time that the moment it's like, and trust me, there are, like, I have friends that their partners have gone through addictions, have gone through like big things that like even infidelity, you know, but they've chosen to stay together. That was their personal choice, and actually have been able to come around stronger. So I think it is like life is going to throw you a series of things in the relationship that will break most relationships apart. Should you choose to stay together because it's in both of your highest good?
Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing. Not staying together because you signed a piece of paper, but staying together because staying together feels like expansive for both of us. And if both parties are really willing to do the work, both can't be one.
Yeah.
You know, Rachel and Johan, I don't know if you know them. They're amazing tantra teachers. They've been here on the podcast, shared their whole journey of his infidelity towards her and made them come around stronger, you know? But in my relationship, it was clear that it was done, you know? So I think it's so nuanced.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, like, it's almost like, you know, like when the karma is complete.
Yes.
You know, like you can feel like, you know, like with my ex, I knew pretty quickly in, like maybe 4 months in, that this is not right. But I just knew there was more karma to be played out, you know? I was like, oh, like I could go now, but like I know that there's like another 6 months or so in this. And it's like, you just know it's not the time to cut it yet. And that's just, you know, case by case. It could be like your whole life you're together and you just keep evolving, you keep growing. And like, that's the key. It's like, are you evolving together? You're growing, you know? That's, if you're not growing anymore, then what's the point, you know? Like, that's the point of relationship, I feel. Like, evolve. It's like the fast track to evolution.
Yes. Yeah. They say the highest spiritual path is to love someone through all the seasons of their life.
Yeah.
Because that's all the triggers are going to be there. All of the like fears of you're holding me back and this and that. And but I'm also curious because I do think our generation is different. And I don't think most people are going to be in lifelong relationships in this generation, and especially not in the next. But I also feel in a lot of us, it's still, maybe it's because we grew up with that still, it is this call. So I'm actually really curious to see how it all plays out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild times.
Wild times for relationships. Okay, well, this was so amazing. We dove into this, felt like just like one of our normal conversations. So I'm glad you got to be here. I'm really curious what your thoughts are. Please share with me a review in the iTunes store. What you loved about this episode, share it with your friends. This is an amazing conversation to send your friends, share your part with your partner, your situationship, and be like, I'm curious what you learned about this, and to dive deeper and to have these more nuanced conversations, because I do feel like we're in a relationship renaissance right now and no one has it figured out. And the only way we will find our own truth is to be honest. So as a free gift for leaving a review for the podcast, I will send you my womb meditation. So all you got to do is leave a review, take a screenshot, and email it over to me at sahara@iamsahararose.com. You can find that email and all of the links mentioned today in the show notes. Nadine, where can listeners connect with you?
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram, Tantric Alchemy Official, or my website, tantricalchemy.net.
Beautiful. We'll have those links. Thank you so much for being on. I absolutely adored this conversation.
Yes.
Be sure to subscribe to stay in the flow for future ones. And I can't wait to see you again.
Trust your intuition, trust your inner wisdom, trust your inner guidance. Close your eyes and listen. Swim to let go. So trust your intuition.